not to exceed its boundaries or fall short in it. And now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks badly or poorly, and He warns against extremism in the Quran. So what does the Quran have to say about extremism? Allah, He says, Ya ahlul kitabi la taghlu fi deenikum. O people of the book, do not transgress or do not be going to extremes in your religion. وَلَا تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ إِلَّا الْحَقِّ. And do not say or speak about Allah except that which is truth. And Allah, He says in the Quran, قُلْ يَا أَهْلُ الْكِتَابِ. O people of the book, لَا تَغْلُوا فِي دِينِكُمْ. Do not be in extreme or go into extremism regarding your religion. غَيْرِ الْحَقِّ. Without truth. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا أَهْوَاءَ قَوْمٍ قَدْ ضَلُّوا مِنْ قَبْلِ وَأَضَلُّوا كَثِيرًا وَأَضَلُّوا مِنْ سَوَاءِ السَّبِيلِ. And don't be like people, or don't follow the desires of people who have been misguided before you, and have misguided and led others astray, and have been led astray from the straight path. And Allah, He says in the Quran, فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ. Be steadfast the way that we have ordered you. فَاسْتَقِمْ كَمَا أُمِرْتَ. Be steadfast the way we have ordered you. مَنْ تَابَ مَعَكَ وَلَا تَطْغَوْا. Those who are with you who are off repenting to Allah, وَلَا تَطْغَوْا. And don't be extreme. And Allah, He says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُحَرِّمُوا طَيِّبَاتٍ. O you who believe, do not make haram upon yourself the good things أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ, which Allah has made permissive for you. وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. And don't transgress. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. Verily, Allah does not love the transgressors. So all these ayat, they warn against extremism. Extremism in the religion. And this is the same thing that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said and he warned and he communicated to the ummah not to be extreme in the religion. So it comes in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, that Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was at Aqaba, and he was collecting, and he told Abdullah to collect some stones so that he can throw. And he told them to find some, and he found some, and he said, مِثِلِ هَؤُلَاءِ, like these kind of pebbles, bring me these types. وَإِيَّاكُمْ. And beware غُلُو فِي الدِّينِ. And beware of extremism in the religion. فَإِنَّمَا أَهْلَكَ مَنْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ أَغُلُوا فِي الدِّينِ. For very those before you have been destroyed due to extremism in the religion. Beware of extremism in the religion. For very those before you have been destroyed due to extremism in the religion. It's a hadith collected by Imam Nasai and authenticated by Imam Al-Albani, rahimahullah. And then there are other hadith likewise, like the hadith of Abi Hurairah, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, where the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, إِنَّ الدِّينِ يُسْرٌ. Verily the religion is easy. وَلَنْ يُشَادُ الدِّينَ أَحَدٍ إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ. And no one tries to overburden himself with the religion except that it will overcome him. Verily the religion is easy. And no one will overburden himself, means to go into extremes, except that the religion will overcome him. And then he mentioned, فَسُدِّدُوا وَقَارِبُوا وَأَبْشِرُوا. So take the middle course, and be moderate, and have glad tidings. وَاسْتَعِينُوا. And take aid, بِالْغَدْوَةِ وَالرَّوْحَةِ وَشَيْءٍ مِنَ الدُّلْجَةِ. And take aid in and assistance in worshipping Allah in the mornings and in the evenings. Hadith in Bukhari. And the point we take from it is the beginning. Is verily the religion is easy, and no one will try to overburden himself with it, and try to go into extremes, do more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated for us, or what's found in the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, except that it will overcome him. And then another hadith, Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam clearly warned against the extremists. From the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم هلك المتنطعون. He said, from the hadith of Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, destroyed are the extremists. وقالها ثلاثا. And he said this statement 3 times. Destroyed are the extremists, destroyed are the extremists, destroyed are the extremists. Hadith Sahih Muslim. And Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, amongst other scholars who comment, they mention here those people who exceed the limits in statement or action, those who exceed the limits, they are extreme. Those who are extremists, the Rasul mentioned that they are destroyed. So we see here Islam has nothing to do with extremism. Already in these evidences, it's clear extremism has nothing to do with Islam. And the one who claims Islam is extreme, then it's a false claim. Because we see here clearly in the Quran and Sunnah that extremism has been considered something blameworthy, something criticized, something prohibited. And continuing in that, there are even punishments regarding extremism. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam attached punishments for those who are in extremism. Like he mentioned this hadith, هَلَكَ مُتَرَطِّعُونَ. They are destroyed, those who are extreme. But another hadith, he mentioned consequences يوم القيامة for those who are extreme. In a hadith from Abi Umama radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Sinfani, there are two categories of people in the ummah, لا تنالهما شفاعتي. They will not have or receive my intercession on the day of resurrection. And then he mentioned amongst them, إمام غشوم ظلوم وكل غال مارق. He said, every tyrannical ruler and every extreme renegade. And the point we're taking is this one, غال مارق, an extreme renegade, one who has been gone extreme in the religion. Amongst those kind of people is what the brother Mumdir mentioned earlier about the Khawarij, the people who go in extremes and excesses in religion. They will not receive the intercession Yawm al-Qiyamah. It's just showing one example of a punishment for such a people. Why? Because they've gone above the religion. They have gone in excess to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated for us. ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَاكَ. Allah said, we put you, Muhammad, عَلَى شَرِيعَةٍ فَاتَّبِعْهَا. Upon legislation, so follow it. So going into extremes by exceeding the Sharia, then that is prohibited. And then we'll talk about later falling short in it. Not doing that which you're supposed to do, or leaving out things that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to do in hopes, or thinking that it's more pious and more righteous. So we see here it's prohibited, extremism in all types. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he mentioned iqtida salat al-mustaqim, that all types. When Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam warned against extremism, إِيَّاكُمْ وَغُلُوفِ الدِّينِ, includes every type, speech and action, all types of extremism. Now how is the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam response to those who were extreme? How did he deal with them? He was the most severe against the extremists. Alayhi salatu wassalam. And this is a point for us to benefit from. If we see extremism, we must approach it with harshness, because it's not from the religion. We don't condone it. We don't support it. We don't promote it. It's not from Islam. Ibn Mas'ud, he said again, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, وَالَّذِي لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا هُ. By the one who there is no God worthy of worship except for him, مَا رَأَيْتُ أَحَدٍ. I never saw anyone كان أشد على المتنطعين من رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم. I did not see anyone who was more severe against the extremists than the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم. Then after him, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq رضي الله تعالى عنه. And I think that Umar ibn Khattab was the most severe and fearful of people to them from the whole people of all those on the earth. Means they fear Umar the most. And this narration, Shaykh Al-Albani agreed authentic. It shows how Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was severe against extremism. He didn't tolerate it, nor did he say it's acceptable in Islam. And this is a point for us to benefit from when we hear accusations that Islam is extreme, or it condones or promotes extremism. No, it doesn't. Extremism has been prohibited in the Quran and Sunnah, and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the most severe in tackling or challenging it and warning against it. Now, with this being said, extremism, we said, is transgressing or exceeding the boundaries. That means you go above and beyond what Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his companions they used to do and are upon. Thinking, believing that is better, and you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But this is not allowed. Likewise, falling short. Al-ghulu, and we have taqsir. Falling short in the religion. It means you have another extreme, which is not doing what Allah has ordered us to do. From the 5 daily prayers, for example, or giving the zakat, or giving the salam, whatever else we have to do as Muslims, falling short is not allowed. So this is important. Ahlus-Sunnah, Salafiyin, we know that we're not supposed to be extreme, have ghulu. But likewise, we should not have taqsir. We should not be deficient. Yes, we're human beings, we're weak at times, but we should not condone or call or promote or allow people to fall to the other extreme, which is doing away with the obligations or the things that are established in Islam, or not approaching them or doing them and considering that acceptable. Imam al-Tahawi, he mentions in Aqeedah Tahawiyah one attribute of Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah. He said that Ahlus-Sunnahwaljamaah are بين الغلو والتقصير. They're between extremism and falling short. Between extremism and taqsir, falling short, having deficiency. The other extreme. Shaykh Salih Fawzan, he commented on this line here in his sharh or ta'liqat. He said what it means here is that we don't Ahlus-Sunnah is wasat. It's in the middle. We're moderate. We're not with this extreme of going above and beyond, nor falling short. And then he used the ayah I recited earlier, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تُحَرِّمُوا طَيِّبَاتِ مَا أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. All you who believe, do not make prohibited for yourself the good things Allah has permitted you. So on one end, Allah has stopped us from making prohibited what Allah has made permissible. For example, I will not drink juice out of fear of Allah. Or some of the Zahidin, or those ascetics in the past, some of them used to say, I cannot drink milk or juice or whatever. I will suffice with water out of fear or out of some type of closeness to Allah. This is not correct. Because Rasulullah used to drink it and they used to be okay with it. It's not from that way. So Allah said, don't do that. Then, وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا, the other extreme, don't transgress, go above and beyond the legislation. So Shaykh Salih Fawzan said, this ayah encompasses both groups. Those who leave off or fall short, and those who go above and beyond. An example is the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he treated a group of companions who once had the idea to go above and beyond the Sunnah as a way or as a means to get closer to Allah. The hadith Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, Bukhari and Muslim. جاء نفر, a group came to the house of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he wasn't there. And they asked the wives of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam about his worship and his action, etc. And then when they heard about it, they didn't feel that it is something that is good enough for them. They need to go beyond it. So, one of them said, لا أتزوج النساء. I will not get married to women. قال بعضهم, and one other one said, لا أكل اللحم. I'm not going to eat any meat. قال بعضهم, and then one of them said, ولا أنام على فراش. I'm not going to sleep in my bed. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he returned, he heard about this. فحمد الله وأثنى عليه. He praised Allah and he glorified Him. And he said, ما بال أقواما. What's the matter with certain people? يقولون كذا وكذا. They're saying such and such and such and such. And then he mentioned his sunnah. He says, for me, أنام, I sleep, وأصلي, and I pray. وأصوم وأفطر, and I fast and I break my fast. وأتزوج النساء, and I marry women. ومن رغب عن سنتي فليس مني. Whoever dislikes my sunnah, he is not from me. And we see his Rasulullah, he treated that behavior that was not in accordance with sunnah, a type of extreme behavior in terms of going beyond what he did. He criticized it immediately. And the Sahaba learned that that's not what we should be doing. We should stay with his sunnah, even though we cannot be like him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It doesn't mean that we should not follow his path. We should not go beyond what he did. Do what he did, alayhi salam, because his sunnah is the best. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. We have very in the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of examples. So Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he clearly showed, as well as clarified in the Quran, the position towards extremism. It's prohibited. All types and all kinds. Speech and action. And that means then, what is Islam called to? What does Islam tolerate? What does Islam promote? Moderation. To have moderation. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his guidance, his sunnah is moderation. And that's why he said in the hadith of Buraidah, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, قال رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم, عليكم هديا قاصد. Upon you is a guidance that's moderate. فَمَنْ يُشَادِ الدِّينَ, and no one will try to overburden himself in the religion, إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ, except that it will overcome him. And this version, this hadith, has been authenticated by Shaykh al-Albani, Sahih al-Jami'. عَلَيْكُمْ هَدْيًا قَاصِدٍ. Upon you is a guidance that's moderate. The scholars are commenting in the hadith, like Imam Munawi, he says, rahimahullah, talking just about this hadith, one of the meaning is, أَخْذُ الْأَمْرِ, take an affair in the religion, لَيْسَ فِيهِ غُلُوٌ وَلَا تَقْصِيرٌ, that has no extremism and no falling short. Then, what is the Sunnah Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's hadyan qas. It's a guidance that is moderate. No ghulu and no taqsir. Just like Imam Tahawi explained. Just like all the scholars agree to. Islam is a moderate religion. So when we hear these allegations and accusations that Islam is a religion that tolerates and endorses extremism, we tell them, alaykum hadyan qas. The Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to adhere to a guidance that's moderate. وَخَيْرُ الْهَدْيِ هَدْيِ النَّبِيِّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. And the best of guidance is guidance. Therefore, where is the extremism? Where in the Quran and Sunnah is it tolerated, promoted? So whoever is doing that is falling short. He is not practicing Islam properly. That's the conclusion we come with. Yes, there are Muslims who may be extreme and falling short. Yes, they are Muslims, but they're not adhering to the Kitab and Sunnah the right way. Not according to the way of the Sahaba and Salaf, Ridwan alayhim ajma'in. Likewise, our Salaf endorsed and they called towards that moderation which Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his companions, they knew about. One of the Salaf, his name is Mutarrif ibn Abdullah. rahimahullah, he mentioned خَيْرُ الْأُمُورِ أَوْسَاطُهَا. The best of affairs is the middle one, or the one that is moderate. Means if we have affairs, or any affairs, we have extremes, one end to the other end. The best affairs is always the middle one. خَيْرُ الْأُمُورِ أَوْسَاطُهَا. The best affairs is the middle one, the one that's moderate. And to give people an example, because sometimes people get confused, how do we be moderate in Islam? There's so much to do, there is so much that we have to practice. I have to remember, Islam doesn't teach us to go above the guidance in the Kitab and the Sunnah, and how the Salaf al-Salih understood that. One of the other Salaf, his name is Wahab bin Munabbih, rahimahullah, he gave us a good example to help us understand the middle path, or the moderation. He said, إِنَّ لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ طَرَفَيْنِ. Barely everything has two ends, or two extremes, if you want to use that term. He says, I'm second. If you were to grab or hold on to one side, one side of the two, the other side will rise up. Means if you have a balance, you have two sides. If you hold on to one side, the other side will be imbalanced. You say if you were to hold on to al-awsat, the middle, the moderate, or the middle of that line, the middle of that spectrum, or the middle of that extreme, or that two, then you have i'tadal. You have this straight moderation. So if you have two sides, if you hold on one side, one will go up. If you hold on the other, one will go up. So hold on to the middle, he said. If you do that, you have it balanced. And then he said, وَخَيْرُ الْأُمُورِ, or the best affairs مِنْ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ وَعَلَيْكَ مِنْ الْأُمُورِ أَوْسَاطُهَا. So upon you then, for all affairs, that you follow the middle and the moderate path. This is reported, and it's authentic narration. So we see here that if this is the affair, moderation is what Islam calls it. No extremism, any type or any form. And as Muslims, we should be the foremost people who warn against extremism, and we advise the Muslims in a good way not to be extreme. Follow Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's Sunnah. And don't be of those people who may feel that his Sunnah is not good enough, therefore they add. Or that his Sunnah is, right, not necessarily fall short. We have to be upon his Sunnah the best of our ability. فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Fear Allah as much as you can. And in Hadith Abi Hurairah, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam ordered us, whatever he commands us to do, فَأْتُوا بِهِ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. Do as much as you can. And some of the contemporary extremism we see today is, some of it has to do with actions, some of it has to do with actions, and some have to do with speech. And as Muslims, and people following the Sunnah, we should not endorse or allow or tolerate any extreme. Even when it comes to extremism regarding ashkhas, or regarding personalities and people. And this is something we see in our era a lot. That people have extremism, fanatic behavior, or fanaticism towards their mashayikh, their teachers, or individuals, or speakers, that whatever he says goes, and whatever he doesn't say doesn't go, and if you go against him, you're out, and if you're with them, it's like, this is not the way. We follow the Quran and Sunnah. And the Brother Mundir mentioned earlier, we don't follow the mashayikh or ulama only, we follow the evidence why we say follow. We need to follow the evidence. So also we see we should not have extremism regarding personalities, even amongst ourselves. If we get it wrong, we get it wrong. We repent to Allah. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he spoke about this element of extremism regarding personalities. And it's important because you see often, if someone were to criticize any speaker, or anybody would say, why is that? He's good, he's better than you with this and this. You have this issue or that issue, or you're envious, whatever. He said, Shaykh al-Islam rahimahullah, وَلَيْسَ لِأَحَدٍ, it's not allowed for anyone, أن ينصب شخصا, that he ينصب للأمة شخصا, that he establishes for the ummah person. يوالي ويعادي عليها. He makes allegiance and disallegiance according to that individual. إلا Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, except for the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We're not allowed to establish for the ummah an individual that we have allegiance or disallegiance to, except for the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَلَا يُنَصِّبْ لَهُمْ, and you cannot establish for the ummah likewise kalam, a speech, which يُعَادِي عَلَيْهِ or يُوَالِي عَلَيْهِ وَيُعَادِي, that you have allegiance and disallegiance towards, إِلَّا كَلَامُ اللَّهِ وَكَلَامُ الرَّسُولِ صلى الله عليه وسلم وَمَا اجْتَمَعَتْ عَلَيْهِ أُمَّةٌ, except for the speech of Allah and the speech of the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم and whatever the ummah has agreed with. بل هذا من فعل أهل البدعة. Rather, that's the affair of the people of innovation. ينصبون شخصا أو كلاما يفرقون به الأمة. Rather, they establish individuals or personalities, or they establish speech, and they make allegiance, disallegiance, accordance in order to divide the ummah. He mentioned this in the Jumu'ah of Ta'al. Very important for us today. If someone criticizes a speaker perhaps we like, and we realize they don't have mistakes, no extremism. This person's wrong. That's it. And it's important because that's a type of extremism. Other types would be like we mentioned earlier. Someone might say, I will leave out some of the sunnah or transgress the sunnah in order to be close to Allah, forgetting that the best way to come to Allah is by following His sunnah. For example, when you're making wudu, you may say, we know Rasulullah taught us to make wudu, you can do it once, all the body parts one time, or twice, or thrice. Thrice is the highest limit. Perhaps someone may say, but for me I can't suffice with the third, because I need to cover more. I need to cover my body parts. I didn't cover enough on my hands and my feet. Perhaps I watch a fourth, a fifth, a sixth time. Is this from the religion? No, it's a type of extremism. Because you're going above what the Rasulullah told us. And he said in hadith, Rasulullah, when it comes to wudu, after he established it, وَمَنْ زَادَ عَلَى هَذَا, whoever goes above this, or naqas, or falls short of this, فَقَدْ أَسَى وَأَظْلَمَ, he has oppressed and he has transgressed. So if we were even to go to wudu and try to wash 4 times, you've done an act of extremism. Did Rasulullah ever tell us or allow us to go more than 3? No. If you did 3 because or 4, for example, to think you can cover more space to perfect your wudu, or hilat al-wudu, the purification or dome of the wudu, no. Rasulullah is the best guidance. Stop where he stopped. And likewise, it could even be with actions. Extremism in speech and action. Speech, like declaring people disbelievers, without evidence and without any proof. Mere claim, conjecture. Someone so disagrees with me, he's an innovator, or he's a disbeliever. Or like this. That's that type of extremism. Rasulullah attached sin to the one who declares another a disbeliever without proof. As we know in the hadith in Bukhari and Muslim, where he says, whoever says to his brother, Ya kafir, or disbeliever. And it's not like it is, like he's not a disbeliever. It means he has no proof, clear. Then the sin will return, or that punishment will return to one of the two. The one who said that claim. Either he is as he is, or you are the one who takes that. So we see here, even these, in our era today, we see this. So that's an extremism, not wrong. And any other example you can imagine. So as Muslims, we need to follow the middle course. And the way we do that is by holding on to the Quran and the Sunnah, upon the understanding of our pious predecessors. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He praised heavily the companions in the Quran due to them following the Quran and the Sunnah, due to them obeying Allah and His Messenger. So we need to hold on to the Quran and Sunnah. وَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ لِلَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. If we differ from anything, return back to Allah and His Messenger. And then likewise, we're going to be like the companions and our early generation in following and practicing the religion. وَالَّذِينَ تَبِعُوهُمْ بِإِحْسَانٍ. Those who follow them in goodness, right? Allah has guaranteed them the paradise. And in today's time especially, due to much differing and confusion, it's upon us as well to demystify and to remove the doubts about extremism. By showing, number one, as Muslims, we practice the Sunnah the right way, and we have to be Muslims, right? Salafis, the right way means follow the Salafi, follow the Quran and Sunnah, show the people what Islam really is. And secondly, when you hear things about that are extreme, or we see things that are extreme, then we change it by giving good advice, like the brother Mundir mentioned, for example, giving good nasiha, and we try our best to counter that. Because much of the non-Muslims have become confused, the image of Islam has become distorted due to these acts of extremism from various groups who are not following the Quran and Sunnah. Right? They follow their own whims and desires. And if we're not taking a part in warning against it, then we also, those people who are keeping quiet about it, are also held accountable for not being people of the Sunnah. Warn against extremism. Rasulullah was the most severe against extremists. And in that is all goodness. I want to finish by also mentioning that as Muslims, if we do not try our best in holding on to the Quran and Sunnah and how the Sahaba and Salaf understood it, then we are going to be in much trouble. The Muslims today, the differing that we have is an account of our differing and our understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah. So if we are not calling people to the goodness, calling them towards Islam the right way, then we're not going to see much affairs or much of the things change. We need to do our part. Follow the Sunnah, call people to it, and show them what it is according to knowledge. And that's why we come here, inshallah. We came to this kind of gathering to benefit ourselves, increase our knowledge. And with that knowledge, we take with action. Go and call the people. وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ. Who is better in speech? قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ. Who is better in speech? The one who calls people to Allah. Calls people to Allah. وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا. Does righteous good deeds. And it says, وَقَالْ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. Verily I am from the Muslims. We need to do our part. But if we see today when extremism is reigning and the media is doing a good job in continuously promoting or showing and displaying extremism, and we are just not keeping quiet and not really doing much, then it's not going to get any better. And we see clearly in the Quran and Sunnah, just by reading these few verses and evidences, extremism has no place in the religion. It has no place in religion. And if we know this, and we follow our teachings, or the teaching of Rasulullah the right way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us all goodness. Right? Inshallah, this is just a brief reminder regarding this topic. Right? It can be discussed in more detail. Right? But the point is, we need to try our best in this. Right? And I want to present this our topic, right? Inshallah, and it's connected to other things. Right? But the point is, extremism must be warned against. It has nothing to do with Islam. Wa akhir da'wan, alhamdulillah.